In February 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Millions have been displaced, cities have been reduced to rubble, and countless lives have been lost. PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, is a severe mental health condition that develops after experiencing extreme trauma. In Ukraine, countless individuals, both soldiers and civilians, suffer from anxiety and emotional isolation caused by the war. Today, we uncover the invisible wounds of war, the scars that remain long after the battle ends. Did you know that Ukraine is facing another serious issue besides the war?
Besides the war, what else is happening?
Not just the soldier, but even civilians. More than half of the population in Ukraine are suffering from PTSD.
What? More than half of the population? That's serious.
PTSD doesn't just affect your mind. It also has a huge impact on your body.
Wait, it affects the body too? How? So, PTSD affects the body? Isn't it just a mental thing?
That's the thing. It's not just mental. PTSD also messes with something super important in your body called the endocrine system.
The endo what? What's that?
Good question. The endocrine system is like the body's manager. It controls hormones, which are basically chemical messengers that help your body work. Let me show you how it works.
So here's the endocrine system. It's made of a glands that release hormones to keep your body balanced. It controls things like growth, metabolism, emotions, and even how you handle stress. Alright, so we know the endocrine system is super important, but how does it actually work? Let's dive into the glands and see what each one does. First up, let's start with the gland that's in charge of everything, the pituitary gland. You can think of it as the boss of your body. The pituitary gland is like the CEO of your body. It's small, about the size of pea, but it has a really important job. It's in charge of all the other glands, telling them what to do and when to do. For example, when you're stressed, the pituitary gland sends a message to the adrenal glands to release cortisol, your stress hormone. And it also releases growth hormones which help you grow, and it controls things like your water balance, your menstrual cycle, and even your mood. Here's a fun fact. Even though it's tiny, it controls so many important functions that your body would be lost without it. Alright, now that we have covered the boss, let's talk about its most famous workers, the adrenal glands. These glands are like your stress response warriors. They're located right above your kidneys, and when your body senses danger, they jump into action. They release two important hormones. First, we've got cortisol, the stress hormone. This gives you the energy to deal with emergency by increasing your blood sugar and prepping your body to fight or flee. Then, there's adrenaline, which makes your heart race and gives you that rush when you're scared or excited, like when you're riding a roller coaster or about to give a presentation. Adrenaline is what makes your body feel like a superhero for a little while. But here's the catch. If your adrenal glands keep releasing cortisol for too long, it can lead to problems like a weak immune system or trouble sleeping. Next up, let's talk about another important gland that helps you stay energized, the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is like the engine of your body. It's shaped like a butterfly and sits in your neck, and it controls your metabolism, basically how fast your body burns energy. If your thyroid works too fast, called hyperthyroidism, you might feel anxious, lose weight, or notice your heart beating is really fast. On the other hand, if it works too slow, called hypothyroidism, you might feel super tired, gain weight, or feel cold all the time. The thyroid gland is also like your body's thermostat. It helps regulate your body temperature so you don't get too hot or too cold. Now that we've got metabolism covered, let's move on to a gland that keeps your blood sugar in check, the pancreas. The pancreas is your body's blood sugar manager. It releases two important hormones to make sure your blood sugar stays balanced. First, insulin, which lowers your blood sugar by helping your cells absorb glucose, and glucagon, which raises your blood sugar when it's too low. But here's the deal. When you're stressed, the pancreas may release more glucagon, which can cause your blood sugar to spike. If this keeps happening, it could lead to issues like diabetes. The pancreas is like an invisible superhero. It works quietly every time you eat, keeping everything in balance. Now, let's put it all together and see how these glands are connected and what happens when stress like PTSD throws everything off. All these glands work together to keep your body balanced. The pituitary gland is the boss, giving orders. The adrenal gland responds to stress. The thyroid keeps your energy steady. And the pancreas makes sure your blood sugar is just right. But when something like PTSD happens, stress takes over. The pituitary gland keeps sounding the alarm. The adrenal glands keep releasing cortisol, and eventually the whole system gets out of balance. This is why PTSD doesn't just affect your mind, it impacts your whole body. That's why it's so important to understand how your endocrine system works. Knowing this helps us figure out how to support our bodies and recover from stress.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that serious. What can we do to fix it?
Great question. Let's see how we can actually start healing.
Wow, then PTSD goes beyond mental problems and affects the whole body.
Right, so today we are going to talk about how PTSD and the endocrine system are connected and how stress affects our bodies.
So, we can also see what we can learn from the case of the Ukrainian soldiers having PTSD case, right?
Yes, listen to the end and you will get a deeper understanding of these.
PTSD occurs after a serious traumatic experience and dramatically activates the body's stress response system. This has a significant impact on the function of the endocrine system, especially the adrenal glands. PTSD patients are placed under chronic stress, and their adrenal glands produce excessively a stress hormone called cortisol. This is a side effect that occurs when the body tries to adapt to a constant state of stress, which weakens immunity and increases the risk of cardiovascular disease along with digestive problems. Irregular changes in cortisol levels can lead to mood swings, depression, sleep disorders, and memory loss. It is after the war that PTSD, which lowers the quality of life like this, is common. Let's look at the case of the war in Ukraine. In extreme situations like the war, the rate of PTSD outbreaks increases significantly. In Ukraine, it is reported that more than 50% of people suffer PTSD due to the war. Not only soldiers, but also ordinary citizens are affected. In the case of soldiers, they suffer from PTSD due to constant fighting and witnessing deaths. The secretion of cortisol increases excessively due to extreme tension and survivor stress. For ordinary citizens, you are more likely to suffer from PTSD by losing your family, having bombing damage, and continuing your evacuation. This has a negative impact on your overall health, as well as your endocrine system. Young children in particular may have greater mental trauma. They are exposed to PTSD at an early age due to the separation from their parents, bombing sightings, and etc., which have serious effects on their growth and development. Further, according to the study, the long-term stress they experience causes excessive cortisol secretion, resulting in an endocrine imbalance. Due to this, PTSD has far-reaching implications not only for mental health but also for physical health. For such people, there is a special career that is able to treat PTSD. It is called trauma specialist. Trauma specialists work directly with individuals or groups affected by war, including refugees and veterans. By treating, those who are mentally hurt and get trauma can overcome their fear and get back to the society.
But if the endocrine system is so affected by stress, how can people in Ukraine recover?
Good question. To overcome PTSD, Both physical and mental healing are necessary. If we better understand the endocrine system, it could help us address these issues.
So, what should we do?
First, understanding and empathy are crucial. And second, we need a scientific approach to solving the problem. And
cortisol high. It's hard to cut, but your body is coping to bring back the choice is high. Don't let it stay. Your hormones are fighting to heal the way. Inside your mind it feels so heavy, but there is a strength in you. Maybe your mind can't fight it, so just take a breath. The way that your body feels filled with different. Right now you're balancing and it's so clear to see you and your let's bring back the harmony. Your strength is shine like a guiding. The love that you have inside will light up its face. Right now you're growing your end of the world thinking you look like this is such a life that we that's what makes you beautiful.
빠밤.
야, 이거